JMA agreement, joint management agreement with Ngāti Tūwhare Taua. It was done in the last triennium, and it's actually won awards for being innovative and collaborative and what have you. It's an agreement in principle where if Ngāti Tūwhare Taua, being one of the biggest landowners in this district, want to get a resource consent to build something, they have the ability to appoint 50% of the commissioners to a hearing panel, so they become in effect masters of their own destiny. As I've said, it's won awards and what have you, but we have to renew it and review it yearly, I believe, we'll try yearly. As yet, this joint management agreement has not been used to do a resource consent application, so it's really mechanical here today because we haven't done one yet to find out if we need to change anything in it that isn't working the way we aspired it to in the first place. So I think that's fairly well covers it, unless you want to add anything, Mr. Glenn.
I guess just to say that there are a couple of applications in the pipeline that we assume will be go under this process within the next 12 months. So hopefully next year, when you're sitting here reviewing it again, you'll have something to review it against.
Oh, that's fantastic to hear, because one of the reasons we did, and I think it was probably your idea, Mr. Green, but was aspired to having this joint management agreement because we recognise that we want to see our district have better economy, better employment, etc., etc. And if Ngāti Tūwhare Taua want to build glass houses or something, they need resource consent, and in the end employ people, then that strikes to the heart of what we're trying to do. So there is a resolution on which page, Ms. McCabe? Oh, you see the lovely picture there getting the award on 11/6?
Yeah, but that's not the page with the
that handsome guy there? Oh, that's Councillor Krasowski.
11/2, Russ, did you have a look at it?
Yeah, 11/2.
11/2.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, the resolution, which is very mechanical, that the council continue to be a party to the joint management agreement with Ngāti Tūwhare Taua Maori Trust Board. Looking for a mover, please. Move Councillor Kirk. Second, Councillor Williams. All in favour? Aye. Good. Okay, item number 12. Moving on. Funding policies for the annual plan.
This is a tag team event. What we've got here is to enable us to proceed with the drafting of the annual plan. We need some agreement from council in respect of 4 particular issues referred to in this particular paper. Now, we'll follow it in order of the options stated, and I'll start with Norman doing an introduction related to the subject of SUIPs.
Okay, thank you. SUIPs, that's separately inhabited and or used portions. This is something which we discussed with the previous council. Basically, to explain it in a nutshell, you may have a situation where you've got one house next door to a block of flats or 7 units. The one house will pay its normal rates. It'll pay its uniform general charge, its refuse and everything else. The 7 on the other side will pay water exactly the same as everyone else, so they'll pay an individual share, but the rate, they'll only pay 1 uniform general charge for all 7. So in effect, they're paying 1/7 of the $460. We're about the only council left in the whole of New Zealand that doesn't deal with SUIPs, as we like to call them. And what we're just trying to achieve here is maybe going the same way as everyone else and saying, is it fair that you can have 7 households on one area and they're not paying the same rates as someone next door to them? So that's basically what the SUIPs are. They also occur quite a lot in town, in businesses, where you may have 2 buildings next door to each other, one which has got 2 tenants in it. They will pay 1 uniform charge and split it between the 2 of them, so they pay half each. Next door, there may be 5 or 6 businesses in one property, and they will be paying 1/5 each because of the thing, so we're just trying to make it so that everyone is paying the same amount.
So through the chair, what we're suggesting is, as we finish each particular aspect of this paper, we'll handle any questions at that stage.
And I just want to make it clear for all my councillors and for myself that this is not council driven by elected members. These are recommendations that are going into the annual plan from employees, from yourselves. We will be hearing submissions on it, thinking about it, looking at it. We don't necessarily support it. Either way, we make that decision down the track further, don't we?
Correct.
Just giving us the opportunity to choose this over in a couple of months' time, and then we will decide. All we're doing today is you're putting notice to us that you're entering this into our annual plan as a proposal for us to deliberate on, correct?
Yes.
Want to make sure?
Yeah.
Well, it's very easy for the headlines to be in a paper tomorrow. Council is X, Y, Z. No, council's not X, Y, Z until it has gone through the proper process of submissions and deliberations, and then the headlines can be.
Yeah. Very much. In the case of Europe, we'll be writing to anyone who is affected in advance as well, and so letting them know that they will be affected. Give them the opportunity to fill in declaration forms. There'll be a number. We've probably got about 930 odd properties that will actually be affected. Majority of those will just have something like it'll be residential with a granny flat underneath. And if they come back to us and say, we don't use that as a granny flat, we're not renting it out or anything, and it's our family, our sole family that's using it, we'll take it off our list. So there's going to be the opportunity for those as well. Although we're assuming that that's not going to happen too much because they're already paying 2 waters. And if they were paying the 2 waters, they should have been arguing with us a long time in advance ago anyway. So the chances are they are renting it out. But that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to capture those who are renting out properties as well.
So if we go to rating SUIPs as such being separate flats, granny flats, units, whatever.
Yes.
They're already paying toilet pan rates, water. So what part of the rating for that property would increase? The TGUR?
TUGR, yes. At this stage, that's one thing. Some of them may not be paying full sewer either. They'll be doing it on the sliding scale. And that's something which we should really be addressing at some other stage, I think, just to get things exact. But no, it will be the TUGR.
So all these, like a sewer, for example, is to increase the rating because, say, for example, there are more occupants on that property. But how does that affect, like, obviously some families are large, living in smaller houses and so on, and then there are obviously lots, because there are a lot of retirees in our district, 2 people living in one house. So, you know, where does that fit with their demand on council services?
I can't tell you. I mean, that's.
What I'm saying is we're facing a rating increase. I've heard figures up to 17% district-wide in the next year. What we are about to do, I'm flipping well damn sure, is going to increase people's ratings more than 17% in some cases.
Well, hang on. I have to straighten this up here because this is not the format or the place to debate this. If this goes through, it has to be workshopped, and all these questions that Councillor Kepper's got, very legitimate questions, come in a different format and a different place than what is here today. Now, I've been asked by the Deputy CEO over here to make some sort of clarification, so I will allow you to do that, Ms. McLeod.
Yes, the point I wanted to just clarify is we're actually, the first 2 components of this report will create an amendment to your long-term plan because they're effectively changing the funding policy. So just as opposed to simply going out with your annual plan, there is a difference there. So wanted to clarify that. The other two matters that are raised in here are some discussion points for the annual plan, which you will have.
Councillor Kepper's concerns,
Yes.
and I'm sure the other councillors have got some concerns, and they want to learn a lot more about it before they go making a decision. It's not the format here today, is it? This will get workshopped, it goes through submission processes.
What we'll be doing, what this item allows us to do, is to create the long-term council community plan amendment, which we will be putting to audit for them to audit, which will then go out with your annual plan for discussion and community consultation. Now, I think that if there are questions that councillors do need to raise in relation to this, they should be raised in this meeting, because our intention, we need to have time to actually create the long-term plan amendment. We have started the workshop. We certainly did have some workshop processes on these issues, but I think it is important that the questions are raised here today.
Okay, well, the deputy says that, and the chief says no. You're now agreeing, so I'm going to go back to you, Councillor Kepper.
Yeah, I'm simply signalling that we're looking at a rates increase. There's no two ways about that. But
where are we looking at a rate increase?
Well, that's what we've been told, but we haven't been given any figures. For the TT area, I've pulled out some properties, for example, and if you add on the TGUR, just for a place with 2 flats on it, they've got a 19% increase in their rating. That's not a district rate increase, but it is for that property, and they range up to 26.4%. Yeah, it's the highest. So all I'm saying is,
Where these figures come from, you've lost me a little bit.
because I've drawn their property details out of the system, added on the TGUR because they have another user SUIP on their property, and their increases have been those figures.
So you're referring to an instance in Turangi where there's a section and it's got 2 completely separate dwellings on it, and you're saying that by rating both things, they're getting a 70% rate increase or some figure?
On those properties.
So are you saying that when you've got 2 completely separate residences on one title, they should just be paying one rate?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it's relative to the amount of the increase.
I don't see the increase. I thought we were just rating them. The idea was to give them both rates.
Yes.
Through the chair, another way of viewing it is that's probably the level of discount that they've had for a number of years.
So, well, just before I go to, so are you saying here that there's been an anomaly that
Yes.
Joe Blow owns a house on his section and he's only got one house, but the next neighbour's got 2 houses on his section, he only pays the same amount of rates? So you're saying that's an anomaly?
Yes.
Okay, I accept that. Councillor Minter.
The general cost, Gary, to the ratepayers, don't forget, is it's not how many occupants each house, but there is 2 properties, and the general rates is covering the roads and all these, and the parks, all the other things. So in effect, these people have paid no rates in 20 years because they're sitting on the other house. It's time they come into the rating, and of course you're going to get an increase.
Other than the TGUR, you pay your toilet pan rates and so on. Now we know that there are lots of houses, one house sitting on one section which has got what would amount to the 2 to 10 toilet pan rate. So I'm saying these properties, you can have a bigger house with lots of toilets in it and making demands on services, or just the one house, or even the one house in the flat making no more demands on council services.
Okay, well, I can see both. I can see there's two points there, but that's what the submission process and the deliberation process is all about when we get there in a couple of months' time.
Yeah. All I'm asking is this chicken and egg stuff, or the cart before the horse? Should we be doing these suggested resolutions, for example, which might be set in concrete, or do we do the consultation process first?
When we get to the, well, I think that's already been explained to us, we cannot go out to the consultation process or into your annual plan process before we get it signed off by the Auditor General. Is that correct?
That's right in this particular case, but I think the thing to remember here is you're talking about some methods about how you apply your rating, as opposed to the rate that you set through your annual plan. And yes, Councillor Kepper's right in the sense that once you've decided, there may be a different proportion that somebody will receive as a consequence of a different rating method being applied, but the two issues are separate: rate increase or rate change and method. So
I'm just trying to level the playing field.
Well, I'm looking around the room, I think there's a lot of confusion here. Can we get someone to put it into just sort of simple language, or just take a couple of questions? Councillor Johnson?
Are you saying that if there are two properties, the targeted rate would apply to both in the full amount, or would they be slightly split? So
No.
Let me just
The
see if
full
I've got
amount.
this right, because that was a very quick, short sentence that made some sense to me. Mr. Williams leant across and he said, this resolution is about how you collect your rates, not how much your rates are. Is that simple? How we collect it. Now, a lot of people have been saying, while I've been here, that our rating system is unfair, inequitable, all sorts of words. I've heard them all for 3.5 coming on years now. So this resolution is about how we collect our rates, not how much the rates are. Does that make sense? So talking about 60%, 20%, 100%, that's not the issue here today, and God forbid that ever happens, I can assure you. This is about how we collect our rates, not how much the rates are. I'm just trying to keep this down simple.
that was a very simple way of saying what I said. Yes.
I like the simple way. There was a hand up. Councillor Williams.
When we speak of fairness, I guess there'll be many residential homes in this region that would have a main home and then maybe a separate garage with a flat over the top, or a main home with some sort of outhouse garage turned into living, whereby or a separate small apartment. And I guess what all those people will be questioning this council, or their question to us will be, if I rent this, if my family uses it over the summer, and if I rent this property out for Iron Man and a few odd weekends, am I going to, and even though it might be a garage with a house above, is that going to put me in this TUGR category?
Who answers that?
Norman.
I'll answer that. That's what we have the declaration forms for. In a case like that, no, they won't be included. It's going to be somewhere. It'll be properties where they are definitely separately used by people other than the immediate family.
Was her granny flat above their garage, would it be? And your answer was no.
No, unless it's rented out full time, all the time to someone else. Then we'll get you.
So what's full time? What is full time? Because rental properties, in this town is
60% occupancy.
Yeah, rent it 50.
All right, intended to be available for rental full time for all of the year.